Hello everyone and welcome to a very exciting video about a new game that I am just learning about but I'm already in love with. It's called Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks, which may imply maybe there's other versions than tanks that may eventually arrive, but anyways, this is a game which is, in my opinion, essentially Motorsport Manager meets Sprocket. And I like the tycoon side of it. I've always liked budget management games. Look at Rule the Waves, look at a lot of the games that I play. I mean, Aerobiz when I was a kid. So let's just jump into a little bit of gameplay here. This is the demo, which I think is still available. Either it may be available on Steam or it's available through the Tycoon Tanks website. I think that's the name of the website. So an interesting thing is this, by the time this video goes live, MicroProse will have announced that they picked up this game. This will be published by MicroProse. And it's, I don't know, I haven't been this excited about a game for a very long time. So we'll kind of jump through it. I'll run through the demo, but I'll kind of be half playing the demo, half talking about things that I like and don't like, and who knows if I'm even talking about what's going on in the demo itself, the tutorial I should say. We'll be a shell corporation. Yeah, first of all, I apologize about the voice. I'm still getting over this cold, but I decided this video cannot wait because I really like this game. I want to get the news out there about it. Which crusty old man do I want to pick? How about this guy? He looks like a sly side street dealer. So we'll do that. So yes, William Hoggs here is going to be bringing us through the tutorial, but I am not going to really be demonstrating or talking about what he's doing. We'll just kind of be walking through things, but let's just start off with the main home base. Again, this reminds me a lot of Motorsport Manager, where you have like your different design places you can go, and the different, like, you tend to your crew and then you tend to your drivers, and I feel like there's a little bit of the same feel here. And plus it has that, you're managing a facility which you can upgrade. It's very tycoony. But we'll get to the tanks part. Obviously, this is about tanks, and you can see here we're March 1914. So it's not quite time for war. World War II won't begin for the August. What was it? Okay, I was going crazy, so I actually paused the recording and went to look up. It was August. I mean, there was the July crisis, which is when basically the assassination resolution was happening. Anyway, so we're still a few months away from war, but in this world, Great Britain has foreknowledge of this war, so they're going to start getting their tanks ready. And that's where we come in. We're going to propose tank designs. This is really cool. For those of you familiar with Rule the Waves, and if you are on my channel, you might know it. It's kind of like we are the people building the designs for the requisition by the Navy, except for, in this case, it's the Army, and we're building tanks instead of ships. So it's really cool. I love the concept. I love all the budget management stuff, all the interface so far. For a game which is just, I think, basically, it's a Kickstarter right now, and like I said, it's a little funny that it's a Kickstarter and published by MicroProse, but that might actually change by the time the video goes live, because maybe there'll be a change of things when MicroProse becomes officially involved. Anyway, they're talking about the workshops, but it all makes sense. Research is where you do research. Engineering is where, actually, it's kind of where you build your parts. You put the parts together. This is like the development part of research and development, and then the design is actually putting in these designed parts. You put them all together in one actual tank design. So it's very cool. This is not like Sprocket from the perspective that you get to like tweak every little thing. It's kind of like there's specified slots you can fill in. We'll see that all soon enough. Let's just get through the research. So yeah, here's some research. It's going to point out some things for us. This is where I've spent most of my time in the first. I probably played this for about 3 or 4 hours already. Really spent quite a lot of time. And so it has a research tree. We'll have to invest our hardworking but also high-earning engineers to do various R&D like research, and they also are used for the engineering and for the design. So you have you split your pool of engineers over all these categories. So you might shift them from research. After it's research, you go to design. You can have them, or development. You can have them develop it in engineering, and then the same group of engineers can move on to the actual design of the tank. So power unit, yes. We have running gear. There's 6 categories for research, basically. There's structure, which has hull and turret. Mobility, which has powertrain, power, and then the drivetrain. So essentially the tracks. And then firepower, which has primary and secondary. It all makes sense, I think. Yeah. So it wants us to click on this, click on that. Yeah, I get it. And this is, for example, this is the Mark I. This is the first tank. The history of tanks. This is it. Shaped as a rhomboid, with tracks running around the outside for maximum maneuverability. The hull is made from a framework with armor plates riveted on. Yada yada yada. And so you can start to see all the different numbers we're going to have to deal with. All the resources. It's grayed out, but up here it did show resources. And there's iron, medium carbon steel, there's rubber, high carbon steel, all kinds of things that we have to, and we actually have to import these resources too. We have to buy them from different potential customers, different potential producers, some all over the world with varying prices and risk of failure of delivery. Or there's definitely some areas in this game I already have like little, I would say that they're minor, but I'll probably mention them. Like one of the things is I think that steel quality, in my opinion, should be, well, that's a pretty minor thing. That is minor. But I think that when you buy your steel from the United States versus France versus, if it was made in the UK or whatever, or Germany maybe, I think that the steel you're actually getting should be, so the quality of it should be different. Because that's something, just ask the Japanese. They had to deal with that. So, okay, so there's the categories, attributes, resources, all this thing. The complexity in this game is great. I feel like it's not too deep. It was easy for me to pick up within a couple of hours. It feels very natural to play in this system. So I don't know if this is the kind of casual game that you'd want to pick up and play in like a weekend and then uninstall and never play again. This is going to be, in my opinion, I like this game so much, I expect this to be a long-running series on my channel. So, although this is a bit of a goofy overview that Sick Tortuga can barely talk about properly, but I'm too excited not to do a video on it. Okay, so they're talking about the tail wheel now. This is not a component, but a modification. So there's main underlying components, like the hull that we just saw, like the turrets. And then there's various things which you can modify those with. Like you can add a tail wheel to a hull. So this is not necessarily hull specific, but they fit generally like certain hull types. That all makes sense. I don't understand the system fully, but I'm just speaking from the knowledge I have. And I actually did a pretty deep dive on this to try to figure it out. So at this point, we're actually going to research something, I think. Oh, and this is different too. Unlike standard technologies, this is providing us with like a blueprint. So you can apply this to a component to allow yourself to use something called engineering points on that part. And there's everything is a trade-off. So there's no free lunch. When you add all these points, which essentially can just make like the turret armor thicker, basically you can think of it that way. The material and man-hour cost goes up. That's minor in my opinion. The bigger thing is actually that the whole weight goes up, which ends up being pretty critical for our first few contracts, it turns out. So, and you can see it's not available in the demo. That a lot of these things will be fleshed out as these people continue to develop. This is an early access game, so all the necessary, warnings should be going along with that. Don't buy an early access game that you're not interested in playing if it was never to develop a single day more than the current state it's in. That's my philosophy. You may have your own, but I've been disappointed by enough early access games that at this point I try to treat them. it's almost like we've gone full circle. We used to have fully released products back in like the 90s, and then they'd get very few bug fixes, but you could get like a new floppy disk mailed to you or whatever. And now we slowly moved to this thing where patches were easier to deliver, and with the with the internet and all that. And then with Steam, you just have these like constantly updating things that. Anyway, we'll say yes to research this project. And now we've gotten to the point where, basically, because the designs, they're so easy to update, people put them on all as early access and then abandon them, so you just have to treat them as they're already a finished copy. Okay, so as I mentioned, the facilities themselves have some management you can tend to. I didn't really focus too much on this, but you could. I think mainly these are really expensive, and it's too hard for us to afford to do that in the very beginning. Okay, so now it's going to have us advance a few days. You can see 7-6. We put our 15 engineers, and we have 40 workers just standing by. Those are the ones who are going to actually do the building of the tanks. But almost everything you do here is with your engineers. So reinforced hull frame is the new technology we just researched. Now we can go over to the engineering shop, where our same 15 engineers can now be put to work on the development of the part. Okay, after a quick break to rest my voice, here we are back. So the workshop's divided into the 6 categories, the same 6 we just saw at the research department. We already have the Mark 1 available to us, I think, or did we just... Oh, yeah, this is the one we just completed by the research. Okay, good. So we'll click on this, and there it is, it pops up. That's the frame of the Mark 1 in all her glory. So we can now add the different modifications I mentioned previously. We click on the front. You can add the different ball mounts, various different styles. Some are locked. Some we could research. So we can click on this and it'll send us over to the research screen where we can just, well, you can't queue things in this game. In fact, you can't even cancel research that you have started doing. Add that to my very short list, but I mean, it's not that short, but I would say it's not very significant list of things that I think should be changed. So another one is this. Drives me nuts. The text box size for these, despite being pretty wide, is it's like 30 characters or something. And what's goofy about that is some of the pre-programmed names are longer than 30 characters. So if you accidentally delete a character, you can't even put it back. So developers, I don't know if you'll watch this video or not, but my request would be, can you please extend the text box? Can you make it a little bit larger, fit with some more characters? Especially because I like to add like V2, V3 on the different parts. We'll see that happening soon enough. But you can't do that without shortening the name, which is what I've had to do so far. Okay, so it's just talking about showing here's the resources. It's pretty all straightforward. Here's all the stats, and it's not just these 9 categories. They say 7, I think, but really it's 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can count. But not only is it these 9 categories, but each of these is actually the compilation of like a whole nother. Like, it's not just one number. It's you get to see all the magic going on under the hood. But I just think this is fantastic. We'll have a lot of opportunities to min-max, play around with things. So if we try to start right now, we can't because we're missing a part and we didn't put any people on it. So we'll get that part on, and then we'll max out the number of engineers working on this. Same 15 people, just moving them over from research. Hit start. And now we wait a couple more days for the engineers. Well, yeah, 5 days, I guess. And yeah, there's the timer ticking away down there. Alright, the Mark 1 is done. Now we can go to the Design Bureau, where conveniently all the other parts that we'll need to make our first tank have already been developed. So let's get to a new design. And now we're just going to select the whole. Okay, it's going to talk about various things. This is just the number of engineering, the number of different parts of this type we have developed in the engineering room. So I can make it, let's say on this one I added the escape hatch. On another one I could choose not to. I would generally call that a different name, like the Mark 1 V2. And then I would have a choice when I come to the design screen, which hull part do I want to add to my tank? Do I want the one with an escape hatch or the one without it? So you essentially have to develop every part, any iteration, every permutation of the, well, not permutation, but combination of the different components. You have to develop in the engineering room, and then this is just the list of all those you developed, and you can mash them together. So it's a little bit weird because I think that, you know, just to put it in an escape hatch or not probably wouldn't require a full development cycle. Like once you develop this thing, oh, but I guess that's actually what's being accounted for in the engineering room. So no, I take it back. It's fine. Okay, but it actually may be a little bit weird that it only takes you like 5 days to research something from scratch, but then also only it takes 5 days to figure out how to put an escape hatch in it. It's kind of, you know, it's interesting. I don't know, but the game balance feels right to me, so I'm not suggesting that there should be any changes here. I think it's fine as is. I really do. Or at least I haven't experienced any like sense of, well, research is happening too fast or engineering takes too long. It all seems well to work well together right now. Okay, so we had our centipede running gear, which I don't like this auto orbiting, but okay, we'll leave it on. So we have no choice until the tutorial's over. So now it's really starting to look like a tank because, hey, a tank needs some kind of way to locomote, to move itself around. And what are we going to have next? Okay, so now we need to add an engine. So there it is. Throw on a secondary weapon, which goes on the front. And now what the turret is, well, on these first ones, the turret was really on the side. It wasn't on the top like we've come to expect. So there it is. We're adding our naval... What are these called? Naval... The word I'm going to say is feminine hygiene product, which is not the right word, but... I can't remember. Oh, leave it to me. Anyways, it's something that they took off of the, the casemate from naval ships. So I talked about Rule the Waves, and like speaking of early access games, just gonna jump to this real fast. I thought about this earlier. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts is a game I was really excited about, and I haven't been excited about a game as I am about this one since Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Now we also know that that hasn't worked out the best. That one's been maybe not the shiny example of an early access game. Let's see how this one goes, though. I mean, that's why I'm already happy with the current place it is. So, okay. I have not talked about any of this tutorial stuff, but it's I think it's pretty straightforward. Now we're adding different ammo parts, different selected ammunition. Each one of these things has various modifiers, and if I was to open up like Firepower Soft, this would give me the full list. Basically, we'll be able to rest our cursor and get pop-ups and all that after the tutorial is done. So that might have to wait until my next video. I'm going to make a full series on this. Absolutely. And it's going to start after this tutorial is done. Anybody who's interested in the tutorial, I mean, I feel like it's a little bit slow, so I don't think it's necessary. But if you're playing the demo, you can just go through the tutorial nice and slow yourself. So if they want 3 gunners, we'll give them 3 gunners. And we'll see quickly. I can't unlock it yet, I don't think. No, yeah. So we need another, and we'll get 2 loaders. Wait, no, 1 loader and 2 mechanics. Now we can see this, and there it is. So it actually shows you what's the amount that you need, or what's the like sweet spot number, I think, because you can be overcrewed, and it goes from orange to green. Now, game developers or anybody who knows, I'm assuming that there is still some marginal, at least some marginal benefit. Diminishing returns, I would expect, but there must be some benefit because you made it green. So 4 out of 4 is like what you would expect to need, but if it's 12 out of 8, I'm guessing that that's a good thing. Especially if we have like breakdowns or stuff, and this is not going to be a super reliable tank. Take my word for it. The mechanics, I feel like that's a good place to have overcrewed. Now we can also give our crews some gear. It's particularly important for these ones as their tank breaks down. They may need to use their close combat weapons, especially in these, with the World War I time frame. And then we'll give them some face masks so that they're very intimidating, but also potentially protect them a little bit more. Okay, so materials, manpower, expected money. Oh, we get to give it a name. So I'm going to call this the Mark I, for one, Mark 1, Rev A. Now, although it's not capitalized, it is capitalized in other text windows, so pay attention to that. Excuse me. And I say that because I don't know if there's a way to change a design name after you've designed it. And there's nothing more frustrating than see it all in lowercase and then, or, you know, you accidentally hit one letter uppercase and it just looks funny. So, we're done. Now we just put all our 15 engineers, they're really wearing different hats, put them to work over here. And in a few more days, 12 days it appears, we'll have a new tank ready to go. Yeah, so I've played this until, through the first contract that you can get, and I'm looking forward to put that up on the channel. I'll probably have to start recording in a couple days just because this cold situation. Okay, so Mark 1 Rev A is done. We'll now go over to the production queue. And this is the last part, the last thing we need to do to have a tank. We need to build it. So we really do all the things here. We go from the drawing board to the final production. Yeah, so this is also a little bit like that car game, which I can't actually remember the name of, but it's one where you build cars, you test them out, you can actually put them into that racing game simulator. Give me a second, I have to go figure out what it is. Okay, it wasn't that hard to track down. It's automation. You can build the car in automation, then you can send it into BeamNG to actually drive it. There's also like Gear City, which I thought of, and Production Line, Car Factory Simulation. There's a lot of games that are like this, but just for cars, and now we're doing it for tanks. So let's select our model here. It's telling us how much. This is actually pretty important. How many units of iron, steel, this steel, that steel, rubber, all these things it's going to need to construct. So it also says how many tanks are in the contracts, how many we have in stock. This is not important yet, but it'll become important later. Okay, so we're going to just produce one of these as a test and evaluation one. So we'll assign our workers and produce. Alright, we're almost done. Wait a few more days. And then we can go over to the warehouse, the only place we haven't been. Yep, there it is. And this is where we have our tank storage and our material storage. You can notice up here that we're at 28,000 some odd out of 35,000. That's how many materials we can store. And you saw that the tank we built took like 700 medium carbon steel. And part of that, we have 7,000, so it took about 10% of our supply to build that one. Which means that we'll probably want to replenish our, sorry, that's the iron. This one's the medium. I think. And that's, well, I'm pretty sure iron, well, we just click here and we'll figure it out. Okay, medium carbon steel, high carbon steel, that's rubber. Okay, good. Okay, well anyways, I'm having these fits of coughing, which I'm cutting out. Alright, so we have different suppliers, and this is the really cool thing, the place where I think it would be cool if, like, especially for various of the higher quality steel stuff, it'd be cool if there was also like a quality rating of, but for a team like this, if they were to hear it and be like, yeah, that's a good idea, let's try to implement it, put it on the roadmap way down the line. Work on polishing what you have first, because there is a lot of room for polish for implementing the game design stuff that they obviously have there, but it's not in yet. It says not in the demo, for example. Stuff like that. Work on that, but that is, I think, would be a little bit nifty to take like steel quality into consideration, since that definitely played a big part in ship construction. I don't know as much about tank construction. I assume it plays a role there as well. Okay, so it shows us how many days it takes to deliver it, the safety, which is just how much of the steel is guaranteed to arrive. You may lose quite a lot of it. And this is how much is available from them and the price. So I don't know if there's a, I really like this. I love this system, by the way. I hope it's not changed at all. Besides, the steel, the quality rating, or so to speak. But I'll be purchasing some of that, don't worry. Okay, so we don't have a tank, but we can click on that otherwise, and hey, we're done! No, wait, we have the administration room to go to first. Okay, almost done. This is, I really, look at this. You can actually see the factory and the smoke. It's nicely done. There's, you know, a surprising level of polish for a game which doesn't have a lot of core features in. It's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like the art team is a little bit ahead of the development team. But even the core game as it exists right now in the game is already fun. I spent like, yeah, several hours on it, and it's really, really hard to put down. Okay, the bank isn't working, corporate isn't working, staff is. So here we go. We're going to manage our workers here, buy more or hire more engineers. They're pretty expensive, so 15, I mean, they're 300 per month. That's kind of a lot of money for, we only start with 100,000. So having all of our engineers right now taking up, you know, this will be at only 100,000 at the end of the tutorial. So effectively taking up 5% of our total cash per month. That's expensive. You know, I mean, it's even worse right now for the workers, which are at 8,000. Why? These guys are 200 and 300. So yeah, I mean, the engineers are much more important. But anyways, that's my own talking. And you can hire, of course, as we'd expect, just like they have drivers in Motorsport Manager. You can get your specialized managers in here. This guy's an inventor. I don't know, are all these people famous? Okay, anyway. There's just a background on him. So yeah, it's interesting that naval construction with Royal Navy, naval engineering. Most recently, First Lord of Admiral Winston Churchill asked him to participate in the development of a new weapon of war that was capable of crossing no man's land. Interesting. So all this, of course, is obviously taken from the future, so to speak, since World War I hasn't technically yet begun. Anyway, ignoring that for the moment, see that this person has perks, and we'll employ them even though they have a $3,000 a month salary, which is quite expensive. Again, that's 3% of our total cash. But hey, you gotta spend money to make money is the old, probably poor, I mean, it's true, but it just gets people, that can be a bad motivator. I don't know if that should ever be your motivation to do something. Okay, so we have monthly reports. That's not too interesting. Get us through it. And I think at this point, I have gone, whoop, no, don't need to cancel the tutorial. Because it'll be canceled right now. We're done. Now notice it is March 30th, but when I hit next, voila, it is now April 1st. The tutorial's over. And now the reins are off and we can do whatever we want. My first order of business, I think it's pretty important to have enough engineers to max out our research. So we have 15, which means it's going to be very expensive, but I'm going to get 25 more. And then we'll go over to research, kind of like muck around in the research screen. And then I'm going to call this video to a close because this is just a very brief demo of things. So we can go to the research, look at all the categories. We'll be making for our first tank something with a lot of soft firepower, which means that what we'll want is the 3-pounders, not even that actually. What we'll want even more is just very good machine guns. So I want to get this category. Okay, this has a higher rate of fire, which is good. And it doesn't weigh that much, which is also pretty important. So let's go ahead and just get this going, and I will put all 40 of my people on this. If you want, you can actually look and see I only need like 30 whatever people on this to get the whole 103 man days. So I'm doing 120 man days worth of work when I only need to do 103. I did some min-maxing like that for my private playthrough. I don't think it matters too much, and it kind of slows things down. I don't even recommend it. Just have fun with this game, because I was able to complete my first design, do very well with it without min-maxing, even though I knew what I could do. So that we'll just wait for that to be finished, and then maybe we'll go over to the engineering screen, show a little bit more about this, because I feel like the initial part of the game for me, it revolved a lot around jumping back and forth between research and then engineering. So as I mentioned, every time you build a new one of these, we have one already, we can get a new one, and we can, this one not going to have an escape hatch. And this would take still 65 man days to research. It doesn't go down, so we're just tweaking the design ever so slightly. This is the side. What is this called? Can you please tell me? Okay. Another thing, escape, in my opinion, should always go back to the main area before it goes to this menu. It's just a personal preference, but I feel like that's been expressed by other people as well. Now, at last, I'm going to go over here and look at what this is called. It's a turret. Sponson. It's a sponson. Yeah. Anyway, okay. One last thing I want to show you actually before we wrap it up, because there's the engineering side of things. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but there's just too much to cover in just a short overview video. So we can design a new sponson for our side turrets. We can make our gun a little bit different. We could have this one with shoulder rest, which will improve hard shots accuracy. And then maybe, do we have anything else available? No, we don't. So we could just do that, which would be a slight improvement. That only adds 25 kilograms to the total weight. Very good net gain, net positive. So this is something that's probably worth it if you can afford the 25 pounds. And just to give you one last hint in case you're off to play the game yourself, our very first design is 26,089 pounds. I don't think that this is a unintentional coincidence. I believe that it was quite by design that the game has you design something just over 26,000, because the first contract you get is for something which is under 26,000. So it forces you to design something yourself. Oh yeah, we can send this off to the trials, which is not something you can currently watch or interact with, but it does happen. Like, it's crunched in the background, which is fine to me. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the trials when they get that up, but the visuals like that is not always as important for me. I just like all of the spreadsheet type feel to this. So the last thing I want to show you is the world view. This is where we can try to take contracts from different people. Now we're in the historical UK campaign, so right now we can only interact with Great Britain. And a lot of this stuff is only for not available in the demo. I don't know how much will be available when it leaves demo, but I can't wait to find out because I'll be interested in seeing. Anyway, what we'll see develop slowly, this is in time, as it's not aligned with history, obviously. But what we'll see is, as time progresses, we'll get more hints about the upcoming contracts. It's done very well. So before they reveal to you exactly what the requirements are, what are the things that are exactly going to make them happy, you'll just see some category like, here's the max weight of the tank, and here's the categories you might want to focus on. And there'll be something like soft, so soft attack, or reliability. And then you just build a tank around these things, not knowing you could start designing parts, developing parts, I should say, in the R&D side, or researching them even. You have enough time to react. You research new parts kind of in that vein, and then you develop the parts so they're ready to go. And then when the contract actually comes out and you can see what the exact requirements that they have are, you can design your new tank. And you have all the parts already developed, so it only takes, 5-12 days, whatever it is, to design your new tank. And then there you go, Bob's your uncle, you have a tank ready to submit for the contract. And I guess what I might do is just load up one of my games, as I have this be ready. And I'll just show this real fast that a little bit down the road, oh gosh, this is, I'm sure, going to be fixed. It's cool though. One of the things I was asked myself in this game before I saw this side tab here is there a way to view the previous pop-ups? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is. So anyways, in this one, I've created a new design, which correctly is under the 26,000 limit. It has good soft attack and all that. So if I go over my contracts here, we can see I've actually already submitted it, but I can offer this as my submission. And then the success score will be between 39 and 99. We don't know what it is yet because in this world I haven't run the trials on the Mark 1 Rev B. So what I ought to do now that it's designed is actually go and Am I already running the trials? Yeah, so we need to run the trials on it, so it'll take 3 days. Might as well just stick it out and see what happens. But you can see that from this screen, at some point, tank cores, let me fill this in, the doctrine was undecided, but the concept, okay, so we want a heavy infantry support tank. This is going to have 26,000, here's the focus, firepower soft, mobility, and protection. There's a regiment's form, but we're not there yet. Once we actually get some tanks to them, then they can start forming regiments. And here's the contract, so we can offer it. Now I think I'm going to call this a very short overview to a close here. Like I said, 35 minutes is short for me. Sorry, I don't know how it got to be 35 minutes. The game is just so engrossing, it's hard not to talk about. So I'll be doing a full series on this, for sure, and probably multiple series. If the game, I don't know, continues to have its hook in me like it has right now, then I expect this will be a regular feature, as I mentioned. So, anyways, thanks for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please give a thumbs up, press like on the video, maybe share it. Otherwise, I'll see you back for the start of a series on this, which hopefully will be happening within a few days. Until then, thanks for watching, stay safe, don't get sick like me, and take care.